Hello and welcome to the show. This week's FailRace versus the community, we were going racing with cars fitted with flat engines, so flat twins, flat fours, flat sixes, possibly even a flat 12. Our first race at the Suzuka circuit, engine swaps were allowed to up the variety of cars, although still pretty much everybody brought Subarus of one description or another. A Subaru Brat led the field away, although we'd struggle through these opening fast corners. The Manta that we are following at the moment gets a tag from a Carman gear that was a very, very long way onto two wheels. The Carman gears are notorious for their abilities to get up onto two wheels across even the minorest of curbs. I know from personal experience with trying to build them. The Manta, though, well, it's a rally car, can get away with a little bit of a trip across the grass as we head up towards the next few corners. Now, the Manta, pretty good through the turns, in fact, very good through these corners, but was lacking a little bit in terms of straight line speed. So we fast through this next section. The Legacy, also not the fastest car overall here, as the Manta could drag it towards the hairpin squeeze past on the inside, with the Legacy a little bit too late on the brakes. That's putting it a bit close towards the grass on the outside of the corner there. The Manta would be through. I was driving a Subaru 360 here, but not an ordinary one. Having put the 2.5 litre flat 4 from an Impreza in it, it was putting out 325 horsepower. This is in a car that weighs 1,400 pounds. It's not all-wheel drive, didn't have the PI to do that. It's actually on standard, on its standard tyres. You can see they're white wall tyres. They are as big as I can get them, but they're still not very big. It is crazy. It is absurd. It is so damn fast. Down the straight, it beats everything for straight line speed. I was miles back from that BRZ. I got past 3 cars pretty much before we got to 130R. Through the corners, it actually wasn't terrible. I was expecting it to be a nigh on impossible to drive death machine, but that wasn't quite the case. It was scary, but it wasn't impossible to get around these turns. Put that all together, it made it a pretty damn fast car. Unfortunately, I had a lot of work to do, having been bopped off the circuit on lap 1. It was kind of a recovery drive for me here. The Brat that had led the field away was struggling. Quick down the straight, however, a real handful through the corners as we head through this first turn. The Volkswagen Notchback and Subaru BRZ would get past. Well, the BRZ not quite got the pass complete before we start getting into the S's, but yeah, the Brat just didn't quite have the grip to fight with those cars. And when you get things a little bit wrong in these S's, it's very easy to kind of compound the problem. You're a little bit wide through the first part, you get overtaken even through the first part, you end up out of position, and now the Brat's got the Legacy for company as they round the next corner. Although once we do get to some form of acceleration zone, then the Brat will come into its own with its power. It was, yeah, a kind of a similar story for me with the 360, only overall my car was yeah, working better than expected, shall we say, here at Suzuka around the final corner. Up a fair way back from the Carman gear. And don't get me wrong, the Carman big gears weren't slow down the straights. They were still light with a fair amount of power. Just nothing was a match for the 360 as we fly in towards this first corner. Had to be very, very careful getting it around these turns. It's very easy to overstep the mark with the little car. You can see it moving around constantly on the exits of corners, and we head into the S's again. We've got that Carman gear right behind us, and the Volkswagen carried decent speed. I think the bigger problem for the Carman gear is it was fast through the corners. However, it was too prone to going up onto two wheels and a little bit too unpredictable. So I could kind of just park my car in the middle of the road, not really give it much of an option to find a way past, out-accelerate it when we came to the next short straight. The Manta, having made his way up into, I think, about 3rd place at this stage of the race, was getting caught. The Subaru BRZ and Volkswagen Notchback were actually proving to be pretty fast around this circuit, up towards Spoon, and the Manta just didn't quite have the straight line speed of that BRZ. Now, he had got more in the way of grip as it is to the inside for the second part as they head down towards 130R, and the Manta would get the pass completed, get the repass done if you like. However, down towards 130R, and the Manta just doesn't have the power to compete with these cars. The notchback is towards the outside, and the Volkswagen gets the move done before they ever make it to the corner. Now, the Manta can carry a lot more speed through here than the cars ahead, but it's not an easy overtake into the chicane. The notchback will let go defensive as he struggles a little bit to get that car slowed down. I think there's a little bit of a bump between the pair of them. And again, the Manta can get a good run out of this final corner, but it's not going to matter that much because the Volkswagen is just too quick for the Opel. Further back, there was an almighty tussle going on. The Carbon Gear, having taken a couple of trips to the grass, would fall back into this group. BRZ, Subaru Impreza, and a second BRZ as well. The BRZs were very popular. Very, very popular indeed in this particular event. The Carbon Gear going the long way around the Impreza is a good pass for the Volkswagen, but can't quite get it slowed into the next corner. The purple car gets his nose up alongside of that. Volkswagen's acceleration was not too bad whatsoever, though you can see how much the Carbon Gear is moving about on its suspension. It pretty much only ever had three wheels in contact with the ground at one point. That's the difficulty with that car. I think the Polo Impreza might have been a little bit early on the brakes. It gets a little bit of a shunt from the BRZ, and the pair of those fall back from the two up ahead. The Carbon Gear fires up the inside of the blue BRZ to try and get that pass complete. The white car is a little bit wide, a little bit ragged into the hairpin. It was all very exciting. Further back at the front, our leader had an easier time. Well, he was third for a while. A couple of cars tangled and was then gifted the lead. The silver BRZ would go on to take a victory, and it would be a BRZ 1-2 in this race. As I said, very, very popular choice of car. I think there are probably 6 or 7 of them in this first race. There are also a few cars on the replay. I think 3 or 4 cars that didn't show up, so I apologise to the drivers of those. That's the joys of Forza 7. So yeah, BRZ's 1-2. Volkswagen notched back in third though. Good driving. That car was pretty damn fast as well. TR King Copper would take victory. Timmy Ninetails in second, with TUS Hordes in third. I think I got up to about 5th with my 360 and a very fast lap time to go with it. Race number 2, and we would head to the Yas Marina South Circuit. Again, another terrible grid spot. Forza is not being kind to me with grid spots. At the moment in these, as we all funnel our way down in towards these first corners. A little bit manic, as it often will be here at Yas. One of the GTA Le Mans gets in a bit of trouble. I don't know if he got tagged or whether he lost it on a curb on his own. You just about saw my 360 flying its way through the field early on. The Impreza here is around the outside of the Brat. That is a long, long way to go. The Brat's not faring quite so well around these circuits so far, and indeed the Brat just didn't have the grip to live with that 22B, as a Manx gets himself caught on the curb, is out very, very wide, almost gets in trouble with the Impreza, although that Manx was massively fast when it came to the straights. Speaking of massively fast, when it came to the straights, the 360 was enjoying this. It was a decent-sized straight down towards turn 1. Not enjoying the chicane so much, and I would quickly get embroiled in a rather epic battle of two very, very different Subarus. Not just in size either. My 360, all about the acceleration. Monstrous acceleration. The blue Impreza, all about the corner grip. Way faster than me through the turns, however. As soon as we got out of a corner, I would go flying past, and this began a series, lap after lap, where we would change positions, up towards 3 or 4 times per lap. That was how often it was going on. The Impreza would dive up the inside, could outbrake me, could outturn me, but as soon as we got out of one of these corners, I could just out-accelerate him. I had to cling on around the turns. I had to be close enough, of course, that when we got to these acceleration zones that I could catch. And, if I wanted to get a pass, fully completed, I had to make sure that I could get, far enough, a big enough gap to the Impreza so that when it came to the technical stuff, he couldn't then subsequently pass me. It was a fascinating battle and incredibly good fun as we head down the main straight once more, off blast the 360, I'd regain the position. We would both end up mugging the poor Brat that was struggling for pace as we head down towards the first corner. The Brat perhaps a little faster than the Impreza in terms of straight line speed, but just didn't have the brakes. In my attempts of getting the pass done, I end up out a little bit wide. The Impreza would come back past. The Brat's now looking for a way back pass as well. We're almost 3 wide through the next corner. Unfortunately, this cost me a little bit of time in trying to get past the Impreza because I've had to fight with the Brat for a couple of corners. We do finally get that one cleared, and it's straight onto the tail of the blue car, although not too much that I can do through here without the grip or the brakes. Now, as I said at the start, flat 12s were a thing that could be run in this. The game counts the Ferrari, I say the Testarossa, the 512 TR, as having a flat 12. There was some debate about it perhaps not quite being a proper flat. Either way, the game lets the Ferrari run. And I was curious to see if anybody would bring this. With it being a B-class race, the Ferrari doesn't have a huge amount of PI to work with, but this one made a good move on an Impreza through the first chicane there. Yeah, an interesting choice of car. I'd like to see some variety from the Imprezas and BRZs that kind of dominated a lot. I would continue to fight. As I said, this was an almost entirely race-long battle between me and the Impreza. I would catch up to the Karmann Ghia ahead, look to try and find a way past, end up getting slowed down, and then suddenly fall back into the clutches of the Subaru. The Karmann Ghias were, well, still going on 2 wheels around the corners. This one pretty damn fast when it came to the straights. Not quite as fast as the 360, but pretty quick. I couldn't breeze past it so easily. The Impreza faster than both of us through the corners. Again, we've swapped places, I think, there's going to be 3 times this lap. I'm still on my car around the outside. Get the pass back. Then as we go underneath the bridge, the Impreza will go to the inside. He's got the position once more. I can't quite hold it. I haven't got the grip to go around the outside of him really through there, but we've got another acceleration zone. Here comes the 360. The nose is ahead briefly. He's there. Impreza's back alongside for the penultimate corner. Then as we round the final turn, I'm out a little bit wide. The Impreza will go for a cutback, although it won't matter too much. You can see the gap that the Karmann Ghia gets. As soon as we started fighting like this, the Volkswagen would just vanish off up the road. But, yeah, ridiculous fun. Ridiculous fun in that little group. Now, the other 360s in this race, well, they were faring pretty damn well. This is the fight for 3rd place. The 22B had been holding on for it, or holding on to it for quite a while, I should say. However, the 360s were fast. This red and white one, fairly similarly built to my car. I think a little bit more handling in this, but a little bit less straight line speed. Still a very similar battle, similar theories. The 360 way outstrips the Impreza as soon as we got to a straight, although through the corners it just wasn't particularly, well, it wasn't particularly fast. It was manageable and these cars weren't wildly out of control, which was surprising considering the power and the weight and the fact that most of these were running on stock tyres and so on, but they just weren't as quick. It makes up for it in other areas, as again the 360 will blast past the head up towards the final corner, although it's a big wiggle from this one into that turn. He just couldn't get it slowed down. The 22B would be back past. Closing speed is remarkable. Remember, these cars, exactly the same class. That closing speed is, yeah, mad. Utterly mad. Now, the other of the 360s in this, there were 3 of them, was running at the front, was up in 2nd place. Now, this was a very different build to our other 2. This one, more focused on handling, was running on upgraded tyres, didn't have anywhere near as much power as the rest of us, but could carry a lot more corner speed. And this was involved in a similar battle to the other 360s, only it was on the other side. The Manx, monstrously fast, accelerating, and probably up there with my car in terms of straight line speed and in terms of acceleration, but a big handful through the corners. It just couldn't carry the speed, whereas this 360 being so very light with good tyres and whatnot, was able to carry immense corner speed, but got murdered down the straights and thus fell back. And it would, in the end, be the Manx that would go on to take victory. They were both being caught by the red car in 3rd. Unfortunately, further back, my battle with the Subaru would end badly as we caught the Karmann Ghia. Turned out the Volkswagen couldn't see the Impreza, the brilliant invisible car glitch that the Impreza would be taken out. Interestingly, between the Manx, the 3 of us with the 360s and the Imprezas, we were all setting pretty damn similar lap times. Could have been a fun battle if all of us had been rather close together, but there we go. Well done for the Manx getting a victory. We shadow shifter with that car. Invisible AK in 2nd with the 360, and please don't beat me in 3rd with another one of the Subarus. For race 3, we're going to ride on board with the start. This is what it is like on board the bonkers little Subaru death machine. So again, start a fair way down the order. I'm in a B-class against other B-class cars. This is, it's rear-wheel drive against, well, I say largely rear-wheel drive cars. Actually, probably most of these are all-wheel drive. These are the speed that the 360 gets. It is utterly absurd. As we go into turn 2, I get a little bit of a nudge, end up out wide, lose a few of the positions that I had worked for off the line. Not that it mattered too much. The purple Impreza, that's gone. The blue handling 360, that's gone. We're off towards the next Impreza, although run out of straight down here. And then we get into the technical sections where things are decidedly more dicey for me. A couple of cars up ahead get connected and spat out wide. And there is an invisible car in this replay as well. I think it was a Legacy, actually, that I might slightly cut across the nose of there, hence why my car suddenly seems to randomly get turned. I apologise to them. Yeah, it is utterly crazy on board with this thing. You've got to really work to get the car around the circuit, but when you get things right, it is so brilliantly quick. I love my 360. It's excellently wacky B-class car. Back towards the front now. And it was an Opel Manta in third. Carmen Ghia leading the way. The Subaru Brat in second continued to struggle a little bit in terms of pace and was starting to hold up the Manta as they head down towards the hairpin. It's almost alongside around that very fast corner. In the end, the Manta's just got too much speed. He does eventually get the nose alongside. It is past the Brat, and the Subaru has got some decent acceleration, but just hasn't got the handling to go with it. Can't get the nose up alongside into the penultimate corners, and the Manta is going to be able to carry way more speed. But you can see the gap the Manta can make just through a couple of corners. Really quite impressive. Now, further back, there would be a mighty train of cars. Unfortunately, my good start would then come undone by another invisible car glitch. Someone not being able to see me. I think it was the Brat that couldn't see me. I went to go overtake him and then just got spun because he didn't know where my car was. So I got dumped back to the front of this kind of little train. There were Imprezas, BRZs, a Porsche 914 in all of this. The Porsche going to the outside of the BRZ. These two cars were actually very fast, but they got stuck in a lot of traffic trying to make their way up through the order. The Ferrari Testarossa in there, the notchbacks there as well. The 914 eventually cleared the BRZ. Now that BRZ's in trouble from a Impreza having a look up the inside. The 22B about to come under threat from a very quick Porsche as we head up towards the penultimate corner. One of my favourite of the overtaking spots at this circuit. The Porsche not able to do too much there. The 22B would drive defensively into that corner. Is aware of the dangers of the overtaking there, and that group would continue to have a big old fight. Third place would be rather hotly contested as well. Another Impreza versus 360 battle. This time, the Impreza did not have the grip of the little 360. It was being monstered through all of the corners and having to defend as vigorously as he possibly could to try and hold on. It was, it's difficult sometimes to get these passes done, even when you've got the grip. The blue 360 is having a look around the outside, but if the car ahead of you is defending, parking its car exactly where you want to be, you've got to have a lot of grip to get a pass, fully completed around the outside. And the Impreza wasn't that much slower than the 360. Because the 360 here just couldn't simply breeze past it when it got to a straight. They were fairly evenly matched. The 360 has the initial acceleration being light. The Impreza had the top end speed, even down these short straights. At the end of the straights, the Impreza was able to just pull that little bit of a margin. It was making it difficult. It was making it difficult for the 360 to find a way past, and that big old battle was helping the leaders escape away. The Carmen Ghia led for quite a while actually in this particular race. However, was coming under more and more pressure from the Manta. This sort of circuit suits the good handling Opel pretty damn well as they head up towards turn one. And they'd stayed like this for a little while, both of them pushing it a bit hard around that first corner. It's the second turn, though, where things go wrong for the Volkswagens. On a defensive line, just runs across the inside grass, gets a bit of understeer, runs out wide on the exit, and that is going to be the invitation. That is going to be the opportunity that the Manta needed. The Carmen Ghia had got some good straight line speed, but around this circuit, more difficult to use and was just all out of shape heading down that back straight. Couldn't fight back immediately against the Manta, and with the Manta through, it was always going to be difficult for the Volkswagen to really get back too much into the fight. Now there was, still plenty of action. There's plenty of big train going on further back. The Brat gradually fell through the field again, struggling for pace around here. 22B trying to hold off against a Testarossa as they head into the second corner. The Ferrari to the outside won't quite get that one done there. More cars running wide. A lot of people using the full extent of the track. You really don't want to end up sticking a wheel on the grass around there. The Ferrari getting away with it, managing to fend off the Subaru behind, looking for a way past the Subaru ahead. Again, it was a very Subaru heavy. We expected to see sort of more Porsches and whatnot turn up, but nope, it was many Subarus. Eventually, the Ferrari to the inside, the 22B tries to hold it on that outside line, just runs out of grip, runs out of road, puts a wheel on the sand and loses 4 places in the end with that one particular moment. Now the Imprezas are busy battling with the BRZ, and it would be the Impreza that would prevail. The purple Impreza now having a look up the inside into that final corner. While all of that mayhem was going on, I was recovering to, I think I was about 5th place at this moment in time with my 360, and I was having issues with Subarus. The blue BRZ way better through the corners than my 360. The Porsche way better as well through the turns. However, to came to a straight again, it would be bye-bye to the orange car. Up ahead of me was a Fiat, the only 595 Abarth that had turned up. He ran wide out of the second corner, got all sorts of wobbles going on with his car. Managed to gather it all back up before having a big off, but that sort of twitchiness, having to lift off the throttle, slowed down enough to allow my car to get through. It gave me a buffer, admittedly a rather diddy one, but it did give me a buffer for a little while to fend off the rampaging, well, more handling-focused cars. The handling 360 had also fallen back, and as the Abarth and BRZ get into trouble, that would sneak past on the inside, as would, I think, the Porsche in all of the mayhem. It was crowded, it was busy. I would have to start defending against a massive handling car for a couple of laps, but the acceleration was so immense in mine that so you could get to the inside out of the final corner, but it just didn't matter because I had so much speed I'd be able to run away. At the front, and it would be the Manta that would go on to take victory. I mean, these guys pulled a long way ahead of the rest of us. We were fighting in a very, very big group for a large amount of time that certainly will have helped them. Again, lap time-wise is between mine and the Blue 360. I think the Porsche was very quick, and these guys were pretty comparable. They could have been a very big, 4 or 5 car battle for the lead, but as racing goes, didn't quite pan out. But a good drive for the Manta Impega taking victory. Red Gliska does incredibly well to get a Carbon Gear to second with all the handling shenanigans that go on with those usually. And Muri in third just about holds off with that Impreza. One more lap and I could probably have got it. One more lap and I might have found a way past the Impreza because, yeah, my car was going pretty fast. It's another versus the community where I've got a very quick car. The 360 could quite easily have won Yaz had I had a better starting position, had I not got stuck in battles for so long. It's very good fun. Yaz was an incredible race for me. Lots of overtaking, very, very good fun. I think I ended up with about 5th. Could have been much better judging on fastest laps and so on. And again, at Hockenheim, not the ideal circuit perhaps for this car, but it was still very, very quick around there. Suzuka was a little bit of a handful, but yeah, I can't seem to get any luck with some of my good cars. I just can't get either the grid positions or small mistakes or just get stuck in traffic. The 360, though, makes a remarkable B-class car. As I said, I thought this was going to be nigh on undrivable, but it actually does not handle too badly whatsoever. You've got to be patient. You've got to really work to keep it going around the corners, at a semi-decent speed. But lap time-wise, overall, it does really come together. So I'm thoroughly impressed with the 360. Again, another car that'll probably have to be reused at some point. That, though, is going to be it for this video. The next versus community is going to be on Thursday, the 8th of February. We're going to go racing with some Australian cars in A-Class. If you want to sign up and take part in that, you can via our forums. There'll be a link in the description. Find the FailRace versus the community section, and you can sign up in there. However, that's going to be it from me. Thank you very much for watching, and until next time, goodbye.